Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greg Gilligan. I'm the Vice President for Operations at RVA757 Connects. Welcome to this latest edition of our RVA757 Connects Innovation Spotlight webinar series. Today we have a really very interesting topic that we're going to be talking about a Norfolk-based startup that's revolutionizing the digital entertainment. And we'll also explore how 757 Collab and 757 Startup Studios supports growth-minded founders like this startup that we're talking about today. Just a couple of housekeeping matters. First off, let me just tell you what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to introduce our sponsor in just a moment here. I'll give you a quick update on RVA757 Connects. Then we'll dive into today's topic, and then we'll leave some questions at the very end for some questions. Time from the very end for questions and answers. Also, just as a reminder, we record all of our webinars, and they're available on our website after the webinar. So this one should be on our website sometime later this afternoon. RVA757 Connects is a nonprofit organization, so we rely on donations from our corporate sponsors. One of our corporate investors is Town Bank, and here to tell us more about Town Bank is Ann Connor. She's the president of Public Finance and Community Investment at Town Bank, and she's also on the board of RVA757 Connects. Ann joined Town Bank in 2005, and she's very active in the startup community. She is the founding chair of IV Watch. This is a Newport News-based company where we featured earlier this year. She's also the founding chair of 757 Accelerate, and she's also the former vice chair, I should say, of Region 5 of Go Virginia. So Ann, thank you so much for your support, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen and let you tell us more about Town Bank.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. Our support of the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Hampton Roads began in the very earliest days. Soon after the financial crisis, the Hampton Roads Community Foundation actually put together, I think it was 5 or 6 different groups to look at different ways to reinvigorate the economy after the financial crisis in the late 2000s. And so out of that, I got assigned to the entrepreneurship group, and out of that came 757 Angels. And so that was a private equity investment group, and we grew to several hundred members, I guess. And one of the things that we discovered was that we didn't have enough feeders into the Angels group, so we established the accelerator, 757 Accelerate. And that went really well, and we were able to accelerate a number of companies, but then we realized we need seed support. We need very, very early stage startup support. And so that's when the startup studio started. And so then we had a full spectrum of programming and support from the startup studios to the accelerator to the Angels, hopefully that will provide private equity. And so Town has been there from the very beginning, actually providing financial support, providing volunteer support, and really, really proud to see that the Janneys have done so well. They started out in our group, and of course, Hunter Walsh is a key part of why this entire ecosystem has succeeded. Hunter is an outstanding part of the whole spectrum. So thanks very much, Greg. Town Bank is honored and privileged to support our entrepreneurial ecosystem, and delighted to be able to highlight the Janneys today and startup studios.
Great. Thank you so much, Ann. I appreciate it. And thank you so much, not only for your support on our board, but also Town Bank support in our organization. It's very, very important getting that type of corporate support. So let me, so that's a great segue into let me tell you a little bit about what's going on at RVA757 Connects. You know, RVA757 Connects is an organization that's bringing the power of convening, connecting, and collaborating to the mega region. Our mission is dedicated to improving the economic success and quality of life for everyone in the Richmond, which we call RVA area, Richmond area, and also the Hampton Roads, which we call 757. We are an association of business leaders, community leaders, and leaders of higher education, and we're advancing the Richmond to Hampton Roads mega region as the I-64 Innovation Corridor. So we can see our relationship packaged in a couple of different ways. We're regional collaborators. We're the 12th largest mega region, and we're an innovation corridor. As you can see, we're pursuing a number of different priorities, including helping the I-64 Innovation Corridor become the global internet hub. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. We also advocated for the widening of Interstate 64, that 29-mile gap between the Richmond area and Williamsburg. That's now fully funded by the state and federal government, and construction has started. So this will be finished by 2028. We'll have 3 lanes in each direction, all the way from Richmond all the way down to Hampton Roads. You can learn more about our initiatives and our priorities on our website at RVA757Connects.com. But let me highlight a couple of them, a couple of the ones on our initiatives. One is advocating multi-use trails. And one that we're working on right now closely is Trail 757. You can join the movement to advance this Trail 757, which formerly had been called the Birthplace of America Trail. This multi-use trail is planned to start at the eastern end of the Virginia Capitol Trail in Jamestown, and there's 2 segments, and both connecting to the Virginia Capitol Trail. One will go from Jamestown, will go through James City County, Williamsburg, York County, Newport News, Hampton, and it'll end in Fort Monroe. The other one will go again from Jamestown, across the James River Ferry at the Jamestown Scotland Ferry to Surrey, through Smithfield and Suffolk, and then that trail will join other existing and planned trails to go all the way to Virginia Beach oceanfront. RVA757 Connects helped the Tidewater Trails Alliance come up with this new name, Trail 757, come up with a new logo, and also created this website for them. So check out the website when you have an opportunity and sign up there to support the initiative. Our top priority is to spearhead the efforts to have the Richmond and Hampton Roads mega region designated as a global internet hub. We spent much of 2022 and last year developing a strategic plan to make this happen. We now are implementing that plan. The bottom line is that the digital assets we have puts our mega region on our way of becoming a global internet hub. As I mentioned, we have a plan, and you can we view this as the Richmond area and the Hampton Roads together have these core competencies or digital assets, if you want to call them, in place to become a global internet hub. So the world's next global internet hub isn't just going to be one mega region or a single city. It's going to be the I-64 Innovation Corridor, America's 12th mega region that extends all the way from the Richmond area all the way down to Hampton Roads. So this 3-foot by 2-foot map explains visually how the I-64 Innovation Corridor becomes a global internet hub by combining these digital assets of both the Richmond region and the Hampton Roads region. If you would like to actually have a copy of this map brochure, please let me know and we'll mail you one. On the other side of the map brochure is our list of 10 strategies. Here they are, but it also goes into a lot more detail about what a global internet hub is and why it's important and why we're becoming one. You can read more about this on the RVA757 Connects website, as well as the globalinternethub.com website. Go on there on those homepages, and the map and other information is there to get a better idea of what a global internet hub is and how we're becoming one. You can also read the full plan and the strategic plan, the executive summary on those 2 websites as well. Let me tell you a little bit about what's coming up on October the 1st. Convergence, please join us at our Convergence 2024 conference. This is the annual day-long interregional gathering of representatives of the Richmond and Hampton Roads regions, sponsored by Chamber RVA, the Hampton Roads Chamber, and RVA757 Connects. Convergence will take place on Tuesday, October 1st, as I mentioned, in Williamsburg at the William & Mary Alumni House. During Convergence 2024, you will discover why the I-64 Innovation Corridor is at the forefront of technological advancement and economic growth. You're going to be able to gain in-depth understanding of the I-64 Innovation Corridor's three pivotal global gateways: sea, space, and digital. And you'll hear directly from the top leaders of these the leaders driving these initiatives. This unique opportunity will provide valuable insight into these gateways that's shaping our mega region and fostering innovation across multiple sectors. Our keynote address will be on the radical collaboration, the secret sauce in building mega regions. North Carolina's Research Triangle has been a hub of innovation for more than 60 years. Hear from the CEO from the Raleigh Chamber as she will explore how this mega region continues to grow through strategic partnerships, intentional planning, and strong cultural foundation. We also have a session on the CEO perspective. So you'll be able to gain some insight from top business leaders in the I-64 Innovation Corridor as they share their current perspectives on the economy and discuss the importance of RVA and 757 working closer together. So we'll hear from Bob Liu, who is the chairman and CEO at Dominion Energy, Jennifer Boykin from Newport News Shipbuilding, and Tom McInerney from Genworth Financial. As a reminder, that's Tuesday, October the 1st, from 9 a.m. in the morning until 6:30 with a reception the last 90 minutes. It's at the William & Mary Alumni House. To learn more about Convergence and the various seminars and to register, go to our website and click under Convergence 2024, and you'll be able to get all the information that you need. So now let's turn to our today's topic. We're going to hear from the entrepreneurial journey of Scott and Lauren Janney and how they transformed a simple idea, offering magazines and waiting rooms, coffee shops, restaurants, and other public places, by leveraging modern technology to create a more efficient, accessible, and environmentally friendly solution. In August 2020, this Hampton Roads couple launched Magazine Jukebox, the first digital entertainment platform that allows customers to access popular magazines and other content and businesses without needing to download an app. We'll also hear and learn more about 757 Collab and 757 Startup Studios, which helped Scott and Lauren on their Magazine Jukebox business in the early days of the startup, and continues to offer support to them as they scale. In fact, 757 Collabs and 757 Startup Studios also helps a lot of different startup businesses in the Hampton Roads region. We have a group of speakers today. Scott Janney is the CEO and co-founder of Magazine Jukebox. Despite dropping out of high school in the 10th grade, he rose to become a successful entrepreneur with multiple exits. He also serves as the entrepreneurial director of the Norfolk Innovation Corridor. His wife, Lauren Janney, who is the chief people officer and co-founder of Magazine Jukebox, could not attend today because of a death of a family friend, and we're sorry about that, Scott and Lauren. We are expressing our condolences. And then finally, we'll hear from Hunter Walsh. Hunter is the founding director of 757 Startups Studios, which is part of the 757 Collab Innovation Network in Hampton Roads. Hunter works alongside with some of the most innovative entrepreneurs in the 757, designing critical programming, supporting startups, and building a valuable network of partners, mentors, and ecosystem champions. Since its opening in the spring of 2021, 757 Startup Studios has welcomed more than 15,000 people into its space and facilitated over 150 unique programs annually, and worked with more than 170 early-stage startup founders. Before I turn the program over to Scott, let me remind everybody that if you have a question, please use the chat function, and I'm going to take it off of stop share, and I can actually say live from New York, and we will now hear from Scott. So Scott is actually in Times Square in New York right now.
Oh, yes. Hi, everyone. And thank you so much for that, Greg. Appreciate the introduction. I'm going to try to keep my face locked in on here because it seems that my microphone is not liking me if I turn my head. But in fact, for sake of video quality and sound quality, I'm going to remove myself off of video so we can maintain audio quality. I apologize, everyone. Our taxi cab driver took us to the wrong Hyatt. So I had to quickly scramble to find a place that I can get Wi-Fi to be on this with you today. So what I like to do is screen. I'm going to come on video and share my screen. I can get one piece of this puzzle going. And but I have to stop and just say how much I appreciate being here, and I just thank you. I love Hampton Roads, I love Richmond and Norfolk, and it's funny because when we were looking at launching Magazine Jukebox, we talked a lot about where we would set up at. And my wife and I, we actually live in Suffolk, Virginia, and but we talked about how there's a lot of tech support up in Richmond, and how there's where we're going to get talent from, and where can we bring in the right talent. And when we talk about bridging the chasm with Richmond and Norfolk, it's ironic because our tech team is based out of Richmond, but Magazine Jukebox is actually based out of Norfolk. So it's a great way to look at how these two cities are coming together. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here. And I'm not here to correct anyone.
And
but
Scott,
my last name.
Scott,
Yep.
before you start, if you can move my picture off of your shared
that's
screen,
right.
remember? Yep.
You told me that before. Yep,
there
sorry.
we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. And not here, like I said, not here to correct anyone. So Janney is actually correct, but typically you'll hear me being called as Janae. And the reason for that, to share a quick funny story, is that my father, unfortunately, he passed away 13 years ago, but his last hurrah, he wanted to go visit some family and friends in Iowa, and they all called him Janney, but we were always known as Janae. And I looked at my dad and I said, "Hey, Dad, why are they calling you Janney?" And he goes, "Oh, I probably never told you that story, but when I turned 18, I joined the Navy and I didn't like Janney, so I just went with Janae." And so my whole life I went with Janae. So you'll hear it intermittent. No one is wrong. And so if you hear anybody call me Janae, last name Janae, you'll understand where that came from. So no one's wrong, but I like to always put that out there. Now, as long as everyone can see the screen here, I have a QR code here. Hopefully you're watching this via computer, because it makes it a little tricky if you're doing it via phone. But if you take your phone out and scan that QR code, do that while I just share with you this journey that my wife and I have really just kind of stumbled upon. And so it goes like this: that Magazine Jukebox was actually originated in our kitchen, and we incorporated in August of 2020. But how it all started is that we actually wanted to open up a coffee shop, and I wanted a magazine wall. And the reason why I wanted that magazine wall is I kind of wanted a miniature or small version of a Barnes and Noble. Well, when COVID hit, it shut down the coffee idea. Then there went my magazine wall. But we continued to discuss Magazine Jukebox, or not Magazine Jukebox, but just the coffee shop in general and magazines. And I looked at my wife and I said, it's unfortunate that someone cannot scan a code and enjoy a magazine without having to download an app or give any personal information. If you don't know this already, anytime you download an app, you're giving a lot of information away: name, phone number, email address, buying habits potentially, and some other things that they like to scrape. I just didn't feel like that was necessary for magazines. So thus Magazine Jukebox began. The problem that we ultimately are solving is that waiting rooms all across the world, because Magazine Jukebox is actually in 3 different continents now. We're in 4 countries. We're growing quite rapidly. For those of you in Virginia, you may have heard of a hospital called Centera. We are officially live in Centera. I think it went live maybe yesterday or 2 days ago. And so we're in their 14 main hospitals with plans to expand I believe they have 700 locations, ambulatory locations. So that is the goal. But the problem that we're solving is that, there's staffing shortages across the country, or across the world, really. And there's waiting time discrepancies. There's waiting time. Even the former CEO of Starbucks said the wait time is $1 billion problem. Maybe that's why he's no longer the CEO. I don't know. But I will say that it is a problem. And how do we solve that? How do we solve a problem that doesn't require more staff? How do we solve a problem that doesn't that is able to help reduce the perceived wait time? Well, we do that through digital entertainment. So we're not just magazines, we're games, we're trivia, and magazines. And I hope our goal is in the next years to be have some sports involved there. How that will work, I don't know. So stay tuned. You have to keep following our journey on this, but that is what we're gaining to do is solve the problem of the wait time experience. And so we are a QR code. We also integrate now with text messaging and email capabilities. In fact, we're onboarding, we recently onboarded our first texting, collaboration with an auto dealership. And we are working with a resort on doing emails and third-party app. And I just want to make sure I'm being clear here because it could get a little confusing. We are not personally an app, but we are, we're not personally an app, but we can integrate into a third-party app. So that's why we maintain being web-based. That being said, as you can see here, we do not require any personal information. We do not collect any sensitive PII at all. And our business partners, when I knew we wanted to create something, I immediately, as an entrepreneur, I said, well, what is the real return for the customer, which is, in this case, a proprietor or a business? And we figured out that if we can put on our platform Google reviews, surveys, reward programs, if we could do that for our customer, it ultimately pays for itself. And so we have seen extreme traction in that case. We're in over 1,000 locations. And kind of the sticky sauce here is that we are geofenced or timestamped, depending on what platform they're using, whether it be texting, email, or using a QR code. And I always love to say that we're the first to market. It's crazy to think that first ideas can still be out there, but they are definitely out there. They're alive and well. We do have some competition I like to share, but they stay in their lanes. They stay with magazines. So you have Press Readers, Zinio, WRSS. And the problem is those when you download or when you scan their code in, let's say, a hotel, Press Reader is mainly the biggest one here, but when you scan their code in a hotel, you have to download their app. And if you don't remove it in a certain amount of time, I believe it can charge you. So don't hold me to that, but I believe the last time I saw it, it would charge you. I like to think we're helping them change that. We are in over 1,000 locations. We have over 70,000 users on our platform. We're currently at a little over $500,000 in the ARR, and we provide 75 different entertaining options for our commercial partners to select from. Our business model is pretty simple. So we're a SaaS business. So we charge monthly. Most of our customers pay for the year. And what's really exciting is that all of our customers who signed up for 1 year, 92% of them not only renewed, but they signed up for 3 years in addition to that. So that makes it that much more exciting. And our ultimate goal is to get to 100,000 plus locations. As you can see, that would make us a very strong company in the ecosystem here for Richmond and Norfolk area. All right, so market cap, as you guys can see, this is, if you're not aware of a slide deck, if you've never seen a slide deck for those who pitch to investors, this is typically the slide deck that they would use, but we like to show the market cap. We look at just 4 different verticals here. And if you look at just those verticals alone, that's 500,000 locations. And we're talking about penetrating only 20% of them just in the US, not even worldwide. And remember, I said that we are in multiple different countries already. That being said, we did raise $2.7 million in our seed round. And this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about 757 Startup Studios. We were not necessarily part of the Collab or part of 757 Angels, but we were part of the 757 Startup Studios. They gave us a desk when we were very early on, going back a few years. They have created great connections for us. In fact, I attribute 757 Startup Studios and their connections is how we ended up meeting Simple Thread out of Richmond, who their CEO, Justin Etheridge, is our CTO. So we appreciate them very much, and what they're offering and doing is quite incredible. Okay, so some other things that is really important to share about our company is that we have an amazing leadership team. We also have amazing staff that are just working I don't want to say night and day, but they work a lot during the day to make sure that this, that Magazine Jukebox continues. And we have one of our board member, Dave Prendergrass, I always like to share. He is actually the former president of the East Coast of Allstate Fortune 50 company at one point, and he oversaw $16.8 billion in assets. And he is also a mentor of mine that I've been able to tap into to help us along with this journey. And you see my beautiful wife, our CPO, unfortunately, like it was said, we lost a dear friend of ours, actually the godmother to my oldest son. She was only 33 years old. She was a detective for the police department in Newport News, and unfortunately, we had to lay her to rest yesterday. So I was supposed to be in New York Monday, while I'm scrambling today. So I had to be there for the funeral yesterday, and I flew in this morning. Literally, still have my luggage sitting right next to me. And then we have our COO, Bronston Carroll, who's actually here with me today. And he is, he comes from a naval leadership background. He's a naval grad. He served in the Navy. We know a lot about the Navy in Hampton Roads, especially Norfolk. And he has just been helping us lead the charge on all things operation. And couldn't have done it without such a great team. And then our staff, we have Lexi and Aaron, who are just, they're just rock stars in the marketing world, helping keep they're like as I like to say, the connective tissue of the company. They're helping keep things all connected. And so we appreciate them and others. I know I'm missing some, but in my time here, I'm going to keep moving. So that's the end of the slide deck. But now I'm going to talk about entrepreneurial journey. So I wanted to push through that. I'm just going to do a quick check here, Greg, that you can still hear me. Thumbs up. Okay, perfect. So let me bear with me just a second while I come off of this share screen. See if I can do this right. Oh, I know you guys are all going to be seeing each other, I think. Here. All right, perfect. I think I'm coming on video. Bear with me just a second. Is my video showing, Greg? I can't see anybody right now. Oh, there we go. Okay. So can you guys hear me okay? I just want to make sure that the feed is working all right.
We can hear you. You're just on the screen.
Okay.
You maybe need to share screen if you want to share your video.
Yeah. Give me just a second. I'm going to shock the world here in a second, because I'm going to tell you I'm doing all of this also via iPad. The new M4 chip on the iPad is working remarkably well. So it's been a fun adventure for me here. Okay, let's go back to the video here. Let that feed catch up for a second. But okay, so what I want to do is the entrepreneurial journey. As you can see, I'm in New York City. Yesterday I had to go to a funeral, and here I am preparing to pitch our company to Venture Summit in the Javits Center. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is so many fellow entrepreneurs, business owners, there's no such thing as time off. And it's often said that, there's no PTO, there's no time off, and it makes it difficult. The entrepreneurial journey is not an easy one. And, as described, I did drop out of high school. I, in fact, do not even possess a GED. But I like to jokingly say that my wife has all the degrees for us. And we often have a conversation in our house about, the school of hard knocks. And as an entrepreneur, oftentimes we have to figure out ways to come up with solutions. And sometimes, as I like to joke around saying is, Entrepreneurship is the one profession I chose to work 80 hours just so I don't have to work 40 hours a week. It seems to be very true, even as we continue to grow with Magazine Jukebox. But a little more background on us. My wife and I, we also own multiple insurance agencies that we grew from 0 to a little over 10 million in ARR, and that's annual recurring revenue. And if you didn't know what that was, but it's interesting because oftentimes we hear those around us talk about, oh, I can never work with my wife, and I sit back and I just say, man, I cannot imagine a better partner to do business with. Someone who's got my back no matter what, someone who's going to be there with me. But that brings in a whole slew of other components to a business. For example, you have to have a good work-life balance. You have to make sure, we have 3 kids, and I'm really excited because this is the first time in 8 years. My wife and I, all 3 of our kids are actually in school during the day. So from 8 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we actually can get work done without disruption. We don't have to worry about if a babysitter is going to show up. But entrepreneurship is hard. The journey is hard. And being surrounded with those who, like 757 Startup Studios, our partners at Town Bank, who we bank with, that are able to help support us along the way. Because let me tell you, starting a business, you're either going to run out of time or you're going to run out of money. And you have to figure out ways around that. You have to figure out how to best not only raise capital in some cases, but you have to figure out solutions on the fly. I like to think of this oftentimes as a jet ski, not a cruise ship yet. And a cruise ship is your big corporations, and a jet ski is your startup businesses. And if you've ever ridden a jet ski, you know that if you power it up and you turn real sharp, it's going to fling you off. That's how quick it can pivot. But a cruise ship needs a couple football fields to turn around. And, the ultimate is to get to cruise ship size. But as we are a jet ski right now, oftentimes we have to make quick pivots. And being married as well with Lauren is that we those pivots sometimes are not agreed upon by both sides, where I'll say, hey, I think we should do this, and she'll say, no, I think we need to stay the course, and I'll say, I don't think staying the course makes sense. And then ultimately, we'll come to a solution. But when it comes to again, raising capital, it's interesting because we're not looked at as a powerhouse. We're looked at actually in the raising capital area of building the business. It's kind of frowned upon a little bit. In fact, I remember an investor saying to me, well, which one of you is going to own 100% of the company? Because that's what I want. That's who I want to talk to. And I said, well, my wife and I would own 50-50. And they said, well, then we won't invest. And that was a sucker punch. And we were not prepared for that. And so we had to have a very awkward conversation at the house saying, hey, honey, I know we're going to build this together, but I'm going to need you to let me have 100% of the company. And that was a hard conversation to have. And because I have, we always say, like, what is hers, or what's mine is hers and hers is hers. And but in this case, it worked out really well. She became the CEO of our other businesses, and I was able to become the CEO of Magazine Jukebox, and they both have been thriving quite well. And but being in a marriage is, to me, is an awesome thing, in working with my partner there. But you don't see that very often. And I just like to share that story because today we're dividing and conquering. While I flew out to New York, she's actually driving with our kids up to New York. The reason why we both have to be up here is we also have, besides Venture Summit tomorrow, we also have a wedding on Saturday. So, but we're able to divide and conquer. And I think as entrepreneurs, it's important. You don't need to be married to your partner, but you need to find the support system that's going to help you grow, and that's going to be there for you to be a good sounding board. So yeah, there's a lot of a lot of things when it comes to the entrepreneurial side. And we're so thankful for the support from Norfolk. We're thankful to the support from the 757 Startup Studios. And I think I'm going to stop talking at this point. I certainly want to be able to answer questions. And Greg, I'll if you want, I can leave the screen up here, or if you want me to take it down.
If you could go ahead and stop sharing, that way Hunter will be able to share his screen next. And so, but
We don't
Scott,
need
that was fascinating, and I've got some questions for you, but I want Hunter to talk and tell us more about what's going on at 757 Startup Studios. So he'll be able to do that. Hunter, you're on live from Norfolk.
Thanks so much, Greg and RVA757 Connects for the opportunity. Always great to highlight one of our rock star founders, part of the 757 Collab innovation community, a 501c3 nonprofit headquartered in our home base in the downtown Norfolk innovation corridor in the Assembly Innovation Campus. Scott was pretty modest, but just wanted to highlight a few things that he did not mention. That Magazine Jukebox was one of the 10 finalists for the Startup World Cup Virginia Regional that took place last week in Virginia Beach. So a huge accomplishment being on stage with IV Watch, Drone Up, Psionic, startups that have been around and raised a lot more money than Magazine Jukebox has to date. So wanted to give credit to Scott and his team for being a part of the stage there. In addition, the Hampton Roads Chamber and Brian Stevens last year named Magazine Jukebox the Norfolk Small Business of the Year. So huge accomplishment in a short amount of time. Seeing them already being recognized with small businesses that have been around for quite some time. And last but not least, raising $2.7 million in this rocky economic climate is certainly an achievement that merits a round of applause from everybody. It is a very challenging time to raise any amount of money, especially early stage. So all credit to the Magazine Jukebox team. 757 Collab, very simply put, our mission, we fuel daring ideas, connecting founders with incubation, acceleration, and capital infusion from vision to venture. How do we do that? We have actually four very distinctive programs that help us execute and fulfill our mission each and every day. Startup Studio serves kind of as the front door to the innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem in the Hampton Roads region, working with, as Greg alluded to, over 150 startups since we launched in the spring of 2021. 757 Accelerate has accelerated just under 50 startups, running 7 cohorts since their launch, helping those startups raise over $150 million in dilutive capital. 757 Angels has an active angel group of around 100 individuals throughout the greater RVA757 mega region area, deploying over $105 million in capital to over 50 startups, making a significant impact all across the Commonwealth. And then the newest arm or leg of the stool is our innovation partnerships piece. So we have great relationships with the Navy and Marines, the Hampton Roads Biomedical Research Consortium, working diligently every day to address health gaps and inequities to get new and emerging technologies in the healthcare system, impacting everyone that calls Hampton Roads home. Anne Connor stole a little bit of my thunder. She must have seen this slide up here. I think it's important to note, since we're a startup ourselves, and we're a nonprofit, so that's a space not many people want to be, but in a relatively short amount of time, we've been able to make some really significant impact, helping move the needle in the innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem here. So just wanted to highlight this. We started in 2015 with 757 Angels. In 2021, at the time, we received the largest Go Virginia grant that had been awarded across the state. That allowed us to start Startup Studios, as well as kind of roll everything into the 757 Collab umbrella. Last year, our angel network merged with a very active angel group in South Carolina called Venture South, forming one of the largest angel networks in North America, right here in the Mid-Atlantic region on the East Coast. And we have, over the last 18 months, undergone a very intentional internal facing strategic planning and brand refresh exercise. So moving forward, you will see us as Collab. We will kind of sunset our archived accounts with 757 Accelerate Studios, trying to make it a more easy user experience for any of our stakeholders to get connected with the critical and vital resources that the Collab has to offer. Looking ahead, we're really excited to be in talks, and we'll be launching the first defense tech accelerator in the Commonwealth early next year. And I'll talk about that the studios just rolled out a brand new capital readiness program, providing technical assistance, trying to level the playing field to get more capital deployed to very small businesses that call Hampton Roads and the Richmond area home. Top of funnel here, we're always out in the community collaborating with higher education partners like Old Dominion, like Jefferson Labs, trying to just subtly talk about the importance and role that innovation and entrepreneurship can play externally or internally. Startup Studio super wide funnel, that's our incubation piece. Accelerator, a very competitive process where cohort 7, which started 2 weeks ago, 9 of the most bright and talented capital ready startups from all over the United States are coming to Hampton Roads to tap into our mentorship and investor network to see how much progress we can help them make over the next 9 weeks. And then obviously 757 Angels investing in the most attractive startups that are currently raising capital, making a significant impact across Virginia at any point there. Talking specifically about Startup Studios, so the Startup Studios provides a physical space. We were the first tenants to move into the Assembly Innovation Campus. Prior to that, thanks to the city of Norfolk, we called home was the ground floor of a parking garage just a few blocks away from here. Circa 1960s, might be giving it maybe more credit than it's due. So really excited that now we are surrounded by innovators, industry disruptors, community-minded individuals that are helping us challenge the status quo and seeing how we can have the greatest collective impact possible. We currently offer 2 distinctive program offerings. So we have an incubation program, which Magazine Jukebox was one of the inaugural 12 tenants when we started this program in spring of 21. We realized we started with 12 that we can be helping so many more people. So we moved from 12 to 24 and now welcome about 30 of the brightest early stage startups that are in ideation, predominantly in pre-revenue, in a cohort model twice a year. And then super exciting, through some grant funding through the State Small Business Credit Initiative Technical Assistance Program, we were one of a handful of recipients across the Commonwealth that has money where we are actually able to provide one-on-one coaching with subject matter expertise in the areas of accounting, financial readiness, and then business law. Not the most exciting topics, but those absolutely critical to the sustainability and viability long-term of small businesses. How we help. So as Scott mentioned, it's a very customized human-centric approach there. So just because you complete one of our programs that Collab offers does not mean that we kick you to the curb. So kind of like family, you are stuck with us, or we identify you as part of our founder community for the life of your startup. So that means you can tap into our very robust and active mentorship network of over 250 mentors that annually in kind volunteer and give well over 1,000 hours of their time to help our startup community. We have Dr. Charles Corprew, our senior venture partner, that helps and works across platform, trying to connect founders with private equity, with venture capitalists, with angels that have the capacity to actually invest or deploy capital in our startups. And then as Greg was mentioning, that every time, every program, our curriculum is not plug and chug. So we are actually asking the tough questions, figuring out where those startups are, and then digging into our Rolodex of connections and contacts to make sure that we can curate the most valuable and impactful programming that will add more tools to their tool chest so we can hopefully get them answers to the questions they have sooner rather than later. So we are always trying to make sure, with our limited constraints financially on the human capital side of things, how can we continue to serve the most amount of startups in the greater Hampton Roads area with those resource constraints that we had? So looking ahead next year, excited to roll out some pre-acceleration or sprints, as we're calling them, in product development, in capital readiness, in go-to-market strategy, some of the holes and gaps that we have internally in the Collab model, but also some low-hanging fruit that we think that Hampton Roads specifically could greatly benefit from. Always trying to make sure that our value prop resonates with the ever-changing needs of the core stakeholders that we are privileged and fortunate to work alongside hand in hand every day. So I could go on talking for hours about all of the exciting things that's going on at Collab, but I'm sure there are questions. So I will pause there. If anybody wants to connect or and learn more about the Collab Innovation Network, they can scan the QR code to see all of the exciting things we currently have going on in our pipeline and organization. Again, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Scott, for being the epitome and making it easier to sit up here and talk about it. Easy to brag on the achievements and accomplishments of one of the many success stories that have come out of 757 Collab, and excited to see what future success stories we have in the future.
Great, thank you,
Real
Hunter.
quick,
That was great. And let me just kind of dovetail on that before we get to questions, if anyone has any from the audience. But Scott, let me just ask you, how did your business, startup, benefit from being part of, startup studios?
so I was going to actually say, and I appreciate the question. Hunter, often talks about all the available resources, and as you become, or as you're a startup, resources and not money but time is one of the most important things we can get, because every time now I meet with my attorney, it costs me money. Every time I meet with an advisor, it costs me money. But in the very early stage, you don't have that kind of money to do that. So you really are, you become, I don't want to say dependent, but those who come through the 757 Startup Studios should be, should have a heart of gratitude, like we do at Magazine Jukebox, because we recognize the importance of time, and that's what they gave us. They gave us time, they gave us opportunity, and that opportunity is ultimately what helped us grow. So being a part of 757 Startup Studios, Norfolk, we love Norfolk. We love Richmond too. My two sister-in-laws are twins, and they went to RVA. So no, I'm sorry, they went to VCU. I said that wrong. They went to VC. I mean, say it's up there. You get what I mean. And so they pull on Richmond. I pull on ODU, where my wife went. So it works out. It's a good little rivalry there. But no, Startup Studios has been incredible. And Hunter, thank you. Very kind words as always. That's why I love talking to Hunter and seeing him. And I've just been so excited for him becoming a dad. That is by far the greatest and best hat we ever wear. So congrats to you on that publicly. I've already said it many times, but.
Well, Scott, let me also ask you. You talk about time, and things take so much time. And I know that you just mentioned how you landed Centera hospitals or the health systems, which I'm guessing was probably not an easy win. Can you tell us what was that process like, and how difficult was it, and how much time did it take?
Yes, Centera is not an easy one, nor should they be, right? They are a juggernaut, and there's a little bit of, obviously you want to have a quality product, you want to have something that can scale, because they're going to need it to be scaled, because they're dealing with hundreds of thousands of people every month. But there's a little bit of luck involved, and there's timing involved. And in this case, the luck involved and the timing was, I happened to be at the right place at the right time, where I got to meet the decision maker. And here's where I encourage all founders and entrepreneurs, and most of them get this already, but I'll just reiterate, is that you've got to go for it. You've got to go for it. You've got to shoot your shot every chance you get. And don't be worried about what you're going to look like if you fall flat on your face. We all fall. Oftentimes I share my faith. We all fall short of the glory of God, but we have to get up and we have to keep going. And that's why I always say, fall forward. If you're going to fall forward. And so I just met the right person, and it was an awesome opportunity. And I remember when I pitched this gentleman, I'll leave him nameless because I don't know if he wants me to put his name out there, but this particular person, when he was when him and I were chatting, he goes, "Well, now, how much is it?" And when I told him the price, he just said, "That's incredible." So then. It was about 3 weeks later, and I get an email from another gentleman saying, "Hey, we heard about this. We would like to learn more." And that was about a 4-month process from when I met the main head honcho to ultimately getting a landed agreement. And also be aware, especially to founders, not everybody likes contracts. So be flexible. You may not want to do a contract. Maybe you want to do an invoice and they agree to your terms and conditions versus going through procurement. So there's all kinds of things that you have to take into consideration in knowing your audience and who you're pitching to, or who you're sharing your company with. So it's a little bit of luck. Great product, having a fantastic product, a product that can scale. And I would say from, nuts to bolts here, it was probably a solid 7-month, 8-month process.
Hunter, that's probably not that unusual in the entrepreneurial world, the startup world. But can you give us a sense of some of the other startups that have come through startups studios over the years?
Absolutely. So we started in spring of 2021. In the last 18 months alone, we've had 5 of our startups accepted into 6 different Techstar programs. So anyone in the entrepreneurial space, Techstars and Y Combinator are the 2 sort of 100-pound gorillas in that space. So great external validation for startups in the Hampton Roads area that are getting the attention of some of the most active investors in pre-seed and seed and early stage startups in the world. I'll point out one that comes to mind because it highlights the interconnectedness in a perfect world of how the Collab model was designed to work, and that's Crunchy Hydration. So anyone that has not had the opportunity to meet Megan Riggs, the founder of Crunchy Hydration is a sparkling infused functional beverage. She started in Startup Studios, was a part of cohort 5 with our accelerator program, and then earlier this year became the first startup that actually received investment from our angel network as well. So she's in hundreds of stores: Kroger's, Harris Teeter, Whole Foods, Wegmans. Anytime that Pharrell and his team, look at Donna there rocking out some crunchy there, is just an example of, and because Hampton Roads, when it comes to our innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem, still very much emerging or a nascent community and ecosystem. While definitely we have a lot of the pieces and are starting kind of that drumbeat and momentum there, our philosophy is we intentionally want to keep our funnel at the top very, very, very wide and have a very liberal definition of what investable or scalable looks like. So it's not traditionally or always the case, the high growth, high tech. You don't necessarily have to have intellectual property or any defensibility to still be able to make a significant impact beyond Hampton Roads. I think it's cool where and the position I sit and gives me kind of what new and exciting things are out there and kind of the crazy. So when artificial intelligence, when cryptocurrency, when all of these things were first popping up, we're seeing some of the very crazy off the wall ideas of how people are trying to leverage these things into a business model. I think one of the greatest success stories is a company called Realist. So Realist now is a short form video hiring platform. They started in Startup Studios as a two-sided cybersecurity marketplace. So where they started and how they ended, a complete 180. This particular founder started as a solo founder, and all of our founders are asked to track their mentor hours. So this founder was meeting like to the tune of 80, 100 hours a month with the same mentor 3 or 4 months in a row. So when we're cranking out and doing our reports, it's like, did you report this right? Like 300 plus mentor hours with the same one. And they're like, yeah, actually, like, we keep talking about this idea, and I think we're gonna like run with it. So that mentor, long story long, ended up becoming a co-founder in this company Realist. In less than 12 months time, they had a fully functioning prototype. They had Fortune 500 clients, have well over $1 million, almost $1 million have run through their pipeline. Their pipeline continues to get larger and larger, have been through 2 Techstars programs. So I think that is the Collab model at work, that we are investing our time in Scott, the human in person, not Scott Janney, the CEO and founder of Magazine Jukebox. Because the reality is, we're fortunate to work with an incredibly diverse group of founders. Over 85% of our founders come from traditionally underestimated population groups. We're industry agnostic. So typically it's not idea one that goes all the way or reaches whatever outcomes you started. It's idea 15, 20, 25. So our methodology and ethos, like, let's save you time and money running as lean as possible, trying to de-risk whatever idea you're currently working on. So if it took you 9 months the first time, idea 10 or 15, we can have that validate or invalidate that timeline take a matter of weeks. So you're not going all in on an idea that's never going to have the viability or the customers like Centera that Scott mentioned to ultimately give you enough proof to say, should I quit my 9 to 5 job to go all in on this? So I could talk all day. We have so many incredibly talented rock star founders that are doing incredible things, serving clients all over the world, that started in Hampton Roads, that continue to call the 757 and the greater mega region home. So I think that's a testament to a lot of the groundwork that many of the folks on this call laid that foundation for 10 years ago, and excited to see what the next 10 years holds. That we have a lot of things in the hopper and pipeline that once we are able to make public, I think it'll hopefully give the general public's like, man, look at all of the amazing things that are coming out of the mega region. It certainly didn't happen overnight. It takes a village, and we're grateful to play a very small part in that.
I want to get you a great segue into my question for Scott and in talking about the future and are there other new exciting things coming on board that you can talk about with Magazine Jukebox? So what's the next 5 or 10 years looking like?
Yeah, so and Hunter, well said, and we love seeing the success of all of those coming out of the startup studios. I know every founder he just mentioned. I know them very well, and it's great to be able to synergize with them. And I'll say this, and to Hunter's point, is that entrepreneurship is an equalizer. If you are going to get out of it what you put into it as an entrepreneur. If you come into the startup studios thinking that you're just, hey, I'm here, therefore let things be handed to you, that's not how it works. You've got to put in the time, you've got to put in the work. And there was a great gentleman who was there. His name was Eric. And I remember him and I sat down and we were chatting about his company and our company. And one of the things he said is, Scott, hey, I'm really struggling to afford to live. And he said, but I have an opportunity back in Texas. And I remember looking at him and said, you need to eat first. Go, take care of yourself, and then continue to work on the business. He did that. Actually, I got to see him a couple of days ago. Hunter, I don't know if you got to see him while he was in town. But I got to see him, and his company is thriving. It's doing better and better every month, and he's eating, which is important. We all got to eat, right? And so it's awesome to watch that. But what is coming for Magazine Jukebox? Well, our ultimate goal, like I said, is to get to 100,000 locations. That brings in that just one line that brings in over $48 million a year in revenue for our company. We're already in over 4,000 locations, and that was with no marketing budget. That was with a very small team of about 4 of us. Now there's 9 of us. And I will tell you that what's to come for us is we're putting a heavy emphasis on texting service and email integration. And what that means, and I'll paint a picture here for you. If you ever had to order a tow truck before, imagine if you got a text from the tow truck service. I'll use AAA as an example. And it says, hey, your tow truck's en route. While you're waiting, click here and enjoy some entertainment while you wait. Can you imagine a time where tow services and other businesses, like when was the last time you went to a restaurant and they said, hey, it's going to be about a 10-minute wait while we wait on your table. Enjoy some entertainment while you wait. You going into a doctor's office, and I always share this story, and is about how Magazine Jukebox it came out 2 years too late, because my friend, his poor daughter, she was 15 years old, she was dying of cancer, and I went to every treatment that she had, every single treatment. But I went there, of course, to pray for her and be there for her, but I wasn't close with her. I was close with her dad. And what was my purpose? My purpose was to entertain him. My purpose was to get his mind off of the realities of what was happening. And if you go into any hospital, if you go into CHKD, I think it's floor 13, you go in there and you see parents and people that they just have to wait. And I said, we need to create some form of entertainment. So we believe that sports is on the horizon, and not just sports, but hyper local sports, where people can tune into what's going on in the community, what's going on in high school sports, college sports, and professional sports. We see texting services, email campaigns with some of our big partners, and that third party app integration. So stay tuned. A lot is coming technology wise, but it's really exciting. And that's why I'm excited to be here in New York City. But I miss Virginia a whole lot already. I've only been here for 5 hours, and I'm already feeling the fun of being pushed around and telling to get out of the way.
Right. Well, great. Thank you both, Scott and to Hunter, for the excellent amount of information that you provided, not only about Magazine Jukebox, but also about what's happening at 757 Collabs. We really do appreciate that. Let me just quickly tell you, everyone, what's coming up next. Remember that if you want to know more about what's happening with RVA757 Connects, go to our website. You can see our 4 major initiatives down there. Also, reminder that the recording of this particular webinar, and any of our webinars for that matter, are on our website. This won't be on our website later this afternoon. So if you want to replay it, or if you want to forward it on to others, please do so. Reminder about Convergence is coming up on October the 1st at the William & Mary Alumni House in Williamsburg. So hopefully you will be able to join us for that excellent program that we'll have coming up. Also, next month on October the 2nd, Wednesday, October the 2nd, will be our next of our Innovation Spotlight webinar series. And we're going to be talking about the innovative green hydrogen fuel program that's being developed in Newport News. So we'll have more details on that in the coming weeks. Hopefully you will be able to join us for that. Finally, again, thank you to Town Bank for being our webinar sponsor today, and also for their corporate sponsorship. And thanks for all your help in being on our board. And also thanks to Scott again and to Hunter. We appreciate you doing what you do and giving us a lot of good information. And Scott, I was glad I was able to say live from New York. So again, thank you to you both, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Greg.